Hello all, thank you for being here. I'm Rachel Carpitella and I'm a program director with Sustainable Westchester. This is the panel on getting serious about workforce development. It's about time. It's about time that we get serious. I know many of you have been serious about this space, about workforce development for a while, but I think what's really exciting is that we see for large infrastructure development that workforce development is a key part of these projects. And we see that through both the federal and state levels. Community benefit plans are requiring that there are approaches to workforce development that directly send career opportunities back into the communities. And this is exactly what we want to see for a just energy transition, an equitable energy transition. This is a huge opportunity to create the clean energy economy of the future, and geothermal and thermal energy networks are exactly the right technology and the right timing and space to dive into workforce development. So today we have some esteemed speakers for you on this topic. We're going to talk about how we create our clean energy economy through workforce development and bring community benefits and a just energy transition. I would love for them to introduce themselves. So starting with Jack.
I'm Jack DiEnna. I'm the Executive Director of the Geothermal National and International Initiative. I'm also the chairman of the International Ground Source Heat Pump Association. I've only been in this industry about 40 years.
Good morning. My name is John Murphy. I'm an international representative with the United Association of Plumbers, Pipe Fitters, and Sprinkler Fitters.
Good afternoon. I'm Dave Bowers with Local 150 of the International Union of Operating Engineers Apprenticeship Program.
Wayne Mackey, Labor's Local 17 Training, and Eastern New York Labor's Training Administrator.
Adele Ferranti, Director of Workforce Development and Training at NYSERDA, the New York State Energy Research and Development Authority.
Jack, would you like to get the conversation started for us here at the podium?
Sure. I assume we're getting my... Okay, what I'm here to talk about is the fact that IGSHPA, International Ground Source Heat Pump Association, is fully involved in workforce development. This isn't anything new for us. We are the Center for Training and Standards for this industry and have been for about 35 to 40 years. As you can see by our slides, and I'm not going to read them, but we have Jeff Hammond sitting in the audience here, that is our executive director. We're currently involved in designing the training, we're updating it, and the fact that we understand we've got various and sundry courses, starting from the CGD, which is the designer course, which is for engineers, professional engineers. We got certified geothermal inspector, which is CGI. You'll notice we all have acronyms for these things, and I don't expect you're going to remember what they are, but if you go to our website, they are on our website. And of course, we have our accredited installer, and the accredited installers have been around. In fact, that was one of our first certified programs that we had. Once again, we're updating all that training, and we understand, actually we're also looking at the drilling community, because we do understand that, to coin a phrase, no hole, no box. For years, designers or drillers have been getting the short shift. In other words, they're only drillers, what do we need them for? Well, without drillers, we don't have a technology with air source heat pumps. So we recognize how important that discipline is, and we are working toward developing more drillers. Modularization, some of our training previously has not had this involved. We are now doing the modularization based upon the DOE job descriptions. I did a study back in 2007 if we were to do a school, an institutional project, it touches 22 job classifications, 22. That's from let's start making a heat pump to all the way to commissioning in it. We're going to have increased accessibility to training. We're going to lower the cost, allow specialization, which we've been trying to do for years now, and provide a pathway to a career growth. As you can see, look around, our industry is getting younger and more diverse. Right now we have women in geothermal. You see these wings on some people and some women. But what's changing in our industry is the fact that we're bringing in younger people, and we're actually looking at people that actually want a career, not just a job. Accredited installer is our initial course. Of course, they're the ones that install the geothermal heat pumps in the buildings. As you can see, there's all kind of things broken up into that. The commercial design inspector, the CGD is one, believe it or not, one that was my idea, because I was always getting told that if I'm a PE, I can do anything. But and I'm a marketing guy. I'm trying to talk PEs into the fact that we need a certification. And the only way I did it was I said I have 2 doctors. One's a brain surgeon, one's a proctologist, but they're both doctors. It's the only way I got the CGD in there. So if you're a PE and you want to be in this industry and design in this industry, you should be taking that course. I'm going fast here because I've been told I only have a couple minutes here. And I'm looking at Matt. He hasn't said anything yet, so we're good. The modularization, if you look at what the completion dates are, we're almost there. We are working diligently. We have Lisa Moline that now is heading up all our training studies and redoing all of our training. And the fact is that we're working, as you can see, we're working with our labor union partners in this, and that's been something that's changed dramatically. I know years ago we did some training. I don't know if Garen Eubank is in here. I don't see his gray head in here, but we did training on at the UA for at least 3 years in a row. Well, we're finally getting back to that now with the drillers from Dave Bauer's group and everyone else. We're going to grow, and anyone that doesn't know that, I think I heard this morning, it's ground source or geothermal heat pumps. So I had to say that, and I just got the hook. Once again, we're here. We have an IGSHPA booth. Stop there. If you're not a member of IGSHPA, you should be. If you're not a member of, or not taking any of our courses, sign up. We'll have them available as this slide says. And we also want you to be a member. Sign up as a member and you'll get all kind of benefits. Once again, stop by and see us, pick up our literature, and thanks for having me. And this is probably one of the best geothermal conferences in the US. And thanks for coming. Am I okay, Matt? Okay.
You didn't get the white paper.
You're not Jack DiEnna. There you go. Thanks, man.
Thank you, Jack. I am not going to be able to top a proctologist joke, that's for sure. Good morning again. My name is John Murphy. I'm an international representative with the United Association of Plumbers, Pipe Fitters, and Sprinkler Fitters, and I've been asked to speak a little bit about the labor provisions and workforce development as it applies to UTENJA. I was fortunate to be part of a very small group with some extraordinary individuals, one who's right here, Lisa Dix, from the Building Decarbonization Coalition, our quarterback, and we continue to work together and collaborate on Upgrade New York to help decarbonize the state while creating really good union jobs. So one of the first provisions that you see here is prevailing wage. So some may think prevailing wage, that means it's going to be very expensive. Well, first of all, what prevailing wage does, it ensures that the workers are paid a fair wage. But I'll point to a study that was done by Cornell in 2018 that illustrated that for every dollar spent on prevailing wage jobs, $1.50 was returned to the community. So besides the environmental impact, it's the societal benefit that should be considered with this as well. And I'll even go a step further when it applies to 100% union projects, or PLAs. There was a study done by Independent Project Analysis over a 20-year period, surveying over 1,500 projects, comparing 100% union projects to open shop projects. And the study revealed that 100% union projects, the productivity was 14% higher. The overall cost was 4% lower. And even more importantly, when some talk about a possibility of a labor shortage, it showed that 100% union jobs were 40% less likely to have a labor shortage than non-union projects. Why is that? Because unions, what we do is we recruit, we organize, and we train to scale. We can do that. Another very important aspect is registered apprenticeship and pre-apprenticeship registration. Why is that important? Because we want to make sure that they're built right, they're built on time, but pre-apprenticeship programs allow building trades unions like ours to take people from underserved communities and train them for a green energy future. But that can only be accomplished with work certainty. So New York City has a great example of pre-apprenticeship programs where up to 40% of every new apprenticeship class comes through non-traditional employment for women, helmets to hard hats, construction skills, which are vocational schools in New York City, and pathways to apprenticeship. But the reason it's successful is because there's an agreement with New York City that every project above $1 million is a project labor agreement. That ensures the workforce certainty to be able to bring people into our apprenticeship programs and out into the field to work. That is an entrance to the middle class. So the next question would be, well, what is the UA doing and how can we be able to train the way we're expected to train? Every year, we have a train the trainer where subject matter experts and industry partners collaborate, over 200, and train more than 2,000 instructors. Those 2,000 instructors then bring the training back to be able to teach over 375,000 members, which includes 55,000 apprentices in the United States and Canada. We can do it to scale. It's what we do. And some people have even said, I don't understand, how are you going to be able to train for the new technology? Well, thermal energy networks is the aspect of thermal energy networks. It's really about code and theory that may be new, but we do the training right now. We have heat fusion, joining of thermoplastic pipe fitting layout, trench safety, rigging and crane certification courses, hydronic heating and cooling systems, pump service and maintenance, HVACR flow measurements and concepts, start, test, and balance, building automation systems, project management, foreman certification, advanced plan reading, job site technology. These programs have been in place for years. We do that right now. So in development, the UA training programs already provide the training necessary for the skilled workforce. But to help facilitate a more structured program related to TENS, the UA Training Department is partnering with industry experts at NY-GEO and American technical publishers to develop a training manual for thermal energy networks. We've also already begun a mobile trainer that will showcase thermal energy networks that will include wastewater energy transfer. The way we've seen it, and the way we've seen it from day one, is that we need to do this right. We need to make sure that we create, while we decarbonize, create family-sustaining jobs. It would make society better and build stronger communities. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. They asked me to come up here because I have the unique position that I run a program specifically for drilling. Because how many times have we already heard up here? No hole, no box, right? The UAA can't put what they need in unless someone has put the bore field out there, and that's historically where we've been a little deficient on being able to bring people in at scale. A little bit about me. I entered the drilling industry in 1990. In 2009, I was asked to start the geothermal well driller apprenticeship. The only registered apprenticeship in the nation for geothermal, geotechnical, and water well drilling. As of now, right, we're in an opportunity that we've never seen before. I've been a little while in this industry. I've never seen the opportunity for training that we have right now for developing a workforce. So the points up here, who agrees with, in this room, agrees with this point? Our industry is at a once in a generation opportunity for training workforce. Hands, right? Pretty much everybody, right? So the time is now. I think that's why we're all in this room. That's why this room is full, because the time is now to develop that. So how do we develop that next generation? We heard Jack talk about giving a career, right? Developing a career and not a job, and that is the key. So to do that, what do we need to do? We need to do a few things. We must provide family-sustaining wages, right? It's not, hey, you've got a job, and they look for the next job that pays a little more. What it has to do is it has to show them, hey, this is a career path forward. It has to be a safe place of employment. It has to give them milestones that they have to meet if they're entry level. They went through that pre-apprenticeship program, right? There has to be a milestone. Hey, within X amount of time, you need to get your CDL. Within X amount of time, you need to have your IGSHPA certification, right? And then we have to help them meet those milestones. The way we do that is through mentorship and a clear training program. So does anybody disagree with anything that I just had to say, right? Again, now I see no hands. So my question is this. Who's heard this statement? When I go to conferences and we have individual talks with people, I hear this. Man, our industry is desperate for quality employment candidates. We can't find, this generation doesn't want to work. Who in this room's heard those things? I say that's inaccurate. We're missing the boat. We're not providing them with that career path, right? But the organized trades, and in drilling, our program is right now is the outlier, and we're working with IGSHPA, we're working with HEAT, we're working with all of these places to try to end that as being the outlier. So when it comes to drilling, as these companies come in, we can start offering that. Many of this work is going to be done under a PLA, and then really I was asked to come in and talk a little bit about PLAs and how they work. But under a project labor agreement, what basically they're saying is we're going to streamline working between all these trades that are up here. We're going to have an agreement for who's going to do what for this project, and the other thing we're going to do is the trades are going to say that they are going to not have any trade unrest. They're going to solve any issues they have under that PLA, right? That gives a known cost. Employers are 93% more likely to stay at a company that's given them that career path. Under a PLA, the New York School Construction Authority from 2005 to 2009 saved $221 million by utilizing PLAs, right? That's a huge amount of money just by saying we're going to have people who are qualified, we're not going to have labor unrest, and we're going to have everybody get together before the job and say, this is what we expect of you. This is what this trade can do. This is what that trade can do. And for the drillers in the room, right? Right now, that final piece, the tax credit, that final 10%, can only be gotten if you are under a collective bargaining agreement with a registered apprenticeship program. And the way we give that space that we're looking to give to our new employees is we give it to them by training, training, training. And what you've already heard just from the little, that's what we do. We can scale the training up to whatever it needs to be as long as we have buy-in from the groups that we're getting buy-in from now, and we have buy-in from the contractors, right? Because our job is not only to make, this is the secret here, our job is not only to make a good wage and a good career for the working man, our job is to ensure that we have a level playing field for the contractors. Because our contractors now are no longer competing on who can pay the least. Now they're competing on who's the more efficient, who can do the job better. In our program, this is a little synopsis, I won't read it, of what our apprentices require to have and what we help them get at no cost to them and no further cost to the contractor. The contractor is paying, for every hour, he's paying a little bit of money into this training program every hour that that person works in his friend's benefit package, right? But if we're offering people a career and not a job, we'll see them flourish. We'll see our companies flourish. Because the little secret that people don't understand, that if the contractor doesn't make money, the unions, they don't have a place to be. So we have a vested interest to make sure those contractors are making money and that we can help them and we can help the working men and women of this country have careers and not jobs. Thank you.
All right. Good morning, everybody. As you see, I told you guys earlier, I'm Wayne Mackey. I'm from Labor's Local 17 and Eastern New York Labor's Training Center. I'm the training administrator for both funds. I'm still asking a question to myself, how I got involved with speakers like this, being a laborer. And I think I figured out what it was, is I was pestering the hell out of the NY-GEO board for loop training. I was looking everywhere for loop training. And Jeff, I'm not forgetting you either. Unfortunately for Jeff, he answered a couple of my emails, so he got pounded. And I'm grateful being here. I've learned a lot. Amanda introduced me to a bunch of people, and I got a lot of information about this loop training, because that's where I figured the laborers are going to be involved. There's going to be either the loop training and the pipe in the excavation area. All right, and I think we still got to figure out how we're going to work together on that, which I'm going to ask John Hutchins to talk in a little bit about that, if he can, if he wants to. All right, up on the board there, this is Eastern New York Labor's Training Center. It's in Glenmont, New York. This is Labor's Local 17. I just took a picture of the sign just to show you guys. We're out of Newburgh, New York. Our instructors at both facilities, they go through an annual instructor conference, which is accredited by ANSI. All the curriculum that we use at both sites, or all across the United States actually with LIUNA, is accredited by the International Development of Curriculum. So we have two good organizations that back us up. This picture here, I want to talk a little bit, kind of leads into what Adele is going to talk with you guys about. This here is a racking class that we have for solar. These are actually new workers, we call them, that we decided through the funding of NYSERDA, which was very generous. They gave us $365,000 worth of money to do racking system training, among another couple of classes that were involved. All the new workers had to take 6 classes to complete it. This particular one, we decided we're going to do all the solar training in 6 classes and then decide about the pre-apprenticeship, because we had a pre-apprenticeship coming up. And it turns out that 11 of the 12 individuals that were in this program were taken into our pre-apprenticeship down in Newburgh. It's called Build and Beyond. We're actually we're actually going to be doing a Build and Beyond up here in Schenectady this summer, and eventually we're looking to bring it out towards Utica next. The Build and Beyond is a direct entry, or approved direct entry into the apprenticeships of the trades. Down in Newburgh, in the last 3 years, we had 33 individuals graduate and go into the trades. And right now, 25 of them are still in the trades after 3 years. So we had a pretty good outcome there. Once again, here's more of the apprentices doing the racking. As with any other trade-specific training, we figured we'd just do the racking, and that's what it ended up being with the International. They had the three trade agreement. So with the geothermal, like I said, we're going to concentrate just on the loop section, nothing else, unless we're told otherwise. But that's all what the trades are going to figure out for us. That's what we're going to end up doing right now, is the loop training. This here was an interesting one. This is actually up in eastern New York. This is a apprenticeship class that we're doing, a hazardous waste class. Up there we do a 40-hour. Actually, it's more like a 50-hour because we believe that they should be in the suits and wear the suits for a little bit so they know what they're getting themselves into and how to acclimate and how to dress when they get on the job site. And I don't know how much you guys know about the hazardous waste standard, but it's OSHA says 40 hours training, then 3 days on-site training. And I think everybody in here knows what the on-site training is. So you're getting out there and you're working, right? It's underneath supervision, that is. But the guys decided, they all took the solar class, so they decided they wanted to take a picture in front of the solar panels. And that's our array system that we work on. Right. And that's basically what we have for laborers. Like I said, whatever the trades decide and whatever you guys decide on who's going to do what, we're going to train on. We have, we get the funding. Actually, I was just telling Adele I'm putting in for another grant for doing the loop training when we get to do that. All right, but John, I don't know if you want to say something as far as the laborers trade goes.
Yeah, if I may, I'd like to just point out that we know in the universe in this work.
Sorry, can we get a mic for him? That way it'll be part of the recording. Thank you.
I put him on the spot, just like.
I'm always there.
Yeah.
Thank you. My name's John Hutchings. I'm the director of organizing for the New York State Laborers. We've gone through a transition, and it's very similar to the solar industry, where it was predominantly open shop, moving into the union sector. And I guess what I'm here to say is that, the laborers, and I'm sure the other trades, are very flexible, understand the challenges we have moving from one thing to the other. And we're willing to meet you, certainly meet you halfway with those challenges. We also are committed to working with the other trades. I think Wayne mentioned in the solar industry, we came up with a three-party agreement, and I think that made it very simple for the developers in that industry. And I think we're open to doing the same thing here. And I think the main thing that take away is that we are flexible, and we're going to make it work. And we look forward to the give and take. And if you ever have any questions how the laborers run, you can see Wayne or see myself. And that's about it. I appreciate the time.
Thanks, John. I also just want to mention, we did have 6 instructors take the accredited installer and pass. And that's where this whole loop training came in and started getting in contact with Jeff Hammond there. Not a whole lot of it had a lot with the loop training, and as laborers, we don't do the HVAC. We're not gonna. But it was our understanding also that people that go on the job site, or at least somebody on the job site, has got to have it. I think it's a good background for the instructors, but I'm not too sure about the workers. That'd be more that we'll have to talk about also if they need to take it. And before Adele gets up here, just would like to tell everybody, I know there was a question in the last session about funding. Working with NYSERDA, the grants, they're laid out nice. You just you got to work on it. But what's nice with NYSERDA, they actually help you at times with it. But then when it comes to milestones and getting paid, they're probably the fastest grant organization I ever worked with that actually paid fairly quickly. And they're generous with their money, and they're looking to help us. And that's it. All right, thank you.
Good morning. Again, I'm Adele Ferranti, Director of Workforce Development and Training at NYSERDA. I've been at NYSERDA 33 years. And talking about taking workforce development and training seriously, I've been working on workforce training since about 2004. And I think after listening to these great speakers here, the big difference of how we used to do things at NYSERDA in the past and what we need to do in the future is, in the past, we were able to pay for people's training and certifications and do this one person at a time. But as we've heard today, and as you know better than anyone, we need to do things at a bigger scale, a much bigger scale. We can't afford to train a worker and pay for their certifications. We need to figure out how we're going to support the 180,000 or so new clean energy workers we're going to need by 2030. And that's really been our challenge at NYSERDA. I don't want to forget to introduce Peter Tompkins from our team. He's in the back middle. He runs our on-the-job training program, which I know is a popular program. If you have any questions, please talk to Peter. We have about $180 million to support workforce training over a 10-year period. We've committed maybe 65% of those funds. Those funds are really dedicated towards all clean energy technologies. I know we're talking about thermal networks here. That's certainly one of the important technology areas we're trying to focus on. And as we think about our workforce training needs, and I know you've heard it here today, we need to figure out how to engage everyone in the clean energy economy, how to support people with barriers to training, barriers to employment, how to provide them with jobs, sustainable jobs with living wages, where they're going to have support in the organizations they work for some of the challenges they may be facing. So that's a critical need for NYSERDA. And I think I really want to make sure we emphasize we're here to train where there are gaps, where there are needs to expand, where the market is really maybe not able to deliver in a timely way because there is a gap with training demand, training supply. As we heard from Wayne earlier, we're here to help expand his capacity, whether it's to bring on new apprentices, to further train journey workers, whatever makes sense, or apprenticeship training. And the beauty of working with the unions is, if you think about it, like Wayne's talked about this a few times with us, maybe he trains 300-400 in our contract over that contract period, but he's going to train hundreds every year after that. And that's critical as we think about the future training needs. We look at programs to train new workers, we look at programs to upskill existing workers, and we help support businesses that are going to hire new workers through internships, fellowships, and on-the-job training. Internships are short duration. A fellowship is a year. It's a climate justice fellowship we offer. And on-the-job training, as you know, is wage support for permanent hires. And I think, as was mentioned here, it's not hard to work with NYSERDA. You got to get over that initial fear of filling out the application. If you think about the internship, fellowship, OJT path, you can combine all those programs. You can get a $4,000 or $5,000 subsidy for an intern. You can get a $10,000 subsidy under OJT, and you can get a $40,000 wage subsidy for a fellow. So there are a lot of incentives. We're happy to walk you through the process. Don't be afraid of applying because there are a lot of funds. And as we think about what we heard from Dave, there's a lot of training courses out there that we can't support. They're typical training, but we're focusing on the clean energy training needs. What are those unique clean energy skills? What are those skills we need to put people in careers? And what are those skills training we need to help them be successful in those careers? At any given time, we typically have 6, maybe 7 funding opportunities on the street. You're going to get these slides, and you can go to all the links. I mentioned hiring support, whether it's on-the-job training for new workers. And again, we're helping them learn clean energy skills. It's got to be a clean energy skill, a clean energy job. We've got the internship and the Climate Justice Fellowship Program. We're also looking at securing federal funds. I know through the Department of Energy, we'll have some contractor training grants on the energy efficiency side. We're working with our solar team on more solar training funds. We're working with our electric vehicle team on national EV infrastructure training funds. So wherever there are opportunities to bring in federal funds, we're trying to leverage those federal funds to fill in the gaps where NYSERDA can't provide support. On the right side of this slide, it's capacity building. It's what we heard about today. Pre-apprenticeship programs, apprenticeship programs, supporting the journey workers, working with community colleges, BOCES or technical high schools, working with the trades, working with various non-for-profits. You heard, I think, non-traditional employment for women in New York City. We've supported them as they integrated clean energy training into their pre-apprenticeship program. So the programs on the right are all those capacity building solicitations. The first one is general energy efficiency, which thermal networks would fit in. One is cooperative advertising. I know there's another session on our co-op advertising programs for distributors and contractors to support workforce training. We have a new one for apprentices and pre-apprentices on the bottom. That's $45 million over 3 years to support building the capacity of pre-apprenticeship and apprentice programs. We're hoping to train thousands, again, through these incredible union training programs that know how to do it, know how to place people in job, and provide them with good wages. So we're hoping through that program, we can help expand where the market sees gaps. And as Wayne said, it really is kind of easy money. I hate to say that, but we try to structure contracts in a way that makes it easy. Yes, there's reporting. We have to provide those, data points to our Department of Public Service. We need to show that these programs are successful. We're training people, we're putting them in jobs, and happy to answer any questions as the day goes on. And thanks, Peter, for joining. Thanks, everyone.
I think another round of applause for all of our presenters on the panel. That was fantastic. We're having discussions now that we've never had before, so I'm so glad that you all had the opportunity to hear from each of these important aspects of the trades about what they bring to the table, the way that they've already been training their laborers, and how enthusiastic they are about participating and leading in this transition to renewable energy infrastructure. I have a question for the panel, and then I'll open it up to all of you. I know you've probably got a lot of questions. But for those of us, building owners or thermal energy network development leads are not necessarily interfacing directly with the trades right off the bat. First, they're developing the project, and I want to talk about, when do you think that the conversation should start with the building owner or cluster of building owners about hiring, maybe it's about PLAs, and what do they need to know about them off the bat, and how can we prepare the folks in the room who are having that initial conversation with the building owners or clusters of building owners and thermal energy network leads. How can we prepare them to start these conversations about the benefits, what they can look toward in the future, to be able to capture that additional 10% of a direct payment that is available?
Well, first of all, I think if it's a commercial project, it's going to come through an architect or engineer. And then if it's in geothermal, typically what we would do at IGSHPA would be to prep whatever trades are involved in that area. And I think that's the way it would start, don't you?
I do, and I also believe that it comes down to education for city managers, mayors, municipalities. I spoke before about having a mobile thermal energy network trailer where you can actually see it right in front of you, exactly how it works, and talk about all the benefits of a thermal energy network. And as I mentioned, you brought up PLA. If we have work certainty, if we know there's a pipeline of work, it allows building trades unions to bring in people from all different communities and train them to become clean energy apprentices and journeymen.
And really, the next part of that is once we know that project is coming, the earlier that you can talk to the trades in your area, the better off you'll be, so that you can understand where jurisdictionally there may be stuff or how to put a PLA together. It may be the first time you've done, but some of those trades may have worked in the past in that space, already have PLA language that's already been agreed upon, and streamline that entire process so that you don't wind up, slowing a project down because the language or something wasn't right and no one would agree to it.
So is it possible that when a municipality or other entity that's developing a thermal energy network puts an RFP out for a feasibility study, that they can include something that they want for that engineer to respond about how they would engage with labor, or include labor within the feasibility study from the organized labor within the feasibility study from the get-go?
I can only speak for how we do things. We have a Federation for Fair Contracting that's involved with the municipalities at that level that tries to get all the players together. I can't speak for New York how it's typically done.
Well, if it's a municipality and it's public funds, it's prevailing wage. And it's in the best interest of that municipality to sign a project labor agreement where the trades can offer savings. If it's a 100% union project, we can offer that savings to the municipality.
The thing that's also changed is the fact that everybody's now involved. In other words, it's not us and them anymore, it's us, period. Whether it be NYSERDA, whether it be the trades, whether it be IGSHPA or GEO, we are all in this together, and it's the very first time that when you call IGSHPA, we can call a trade because they're all IGSHPA certified. They've all gotten their IGSHPA certifications. So it really is easier than it used to be. Before it was us and them, it's no longer that. It's all us. If you look around the room, we're all the same team.
So we really want to open up that conversation between engineers and laborers and have that communication coming directly to the clients early on. We have a question, so why don't we go ahead and start? Yep, thank you.
Hi, Greg Kamoulis, Con Edison, leading the Thermal Energy Network pilot projects. So I've a comment and then a question, or at least something, and it could just be me not knowing, and that's okay. I have no problem asking questions I don't know. So yes, we're having 3 pilot projects we're developing. Yes, we want all skilled labor to be unionized, and we're committed to that. What's a bit confusing, to be quite honest, is in this new space of these thermal energy networks, right? Is there a map of who would want to be doing what and what the locals should be talking to for these projects? Because it is confusing in the sense that it's not clear, right? And the idea of a PLA we agree on, where and how to get the right parties together. That it's clear as mud to me at least. So we need some help.
It's a fair question, and to give the lawyerly response, it depends. Because trade line jurisdiction could look different all over just the state of New York, never mind the country. So if we're talking about in city streets, it may look different, and those procedures are typically done through the Building Trades Council. Like jurisdiction's not settled here. It's done within the building trades because there's a process in place. But what may take place on a private property or a campus may be different than a utility. So the sooner Con Edison and National Grid and the other utilities sit down with all the parties with the Building Trades Council, that's how we could sort that out.
Make my way to the back, so middle questions first.
Hi, Harrison Watkins with the Laborers. I just wanted to make a point to the discussion earlier about talking with the engineers about the project. I think one of the things that the trades bring to the table, and I'll speak to the laborers directly, is that we also do a lot of project advocacy before anything's even built, right? So one of the things that we have as a resource is our membership. So whether it's attending at public hearings, writing letters in support of these projects. When there's certainty, like if a project's going to be under a PLA or there's an MOU with the developer for a project, we know that our members will be going to work, and we are happy to dispatch our resources in support of getting that project built. We understand that if nothing gets built, our members don't go to work, but we put in a lot of time and effort here in going to bat for projects to happen. And so we want to make sure that everyone knows that that resource is part of it. Not only do our highly skilled and trained members build things well, but we help make the projects happen with our developer and contractor partners in addition. So I just wanted to speak to that piece of the puzzle as well.
Adele, that's a very good point, because one of the things that we have to look at is every single person in this room lives in a community that has a school, a hospital, a prison, whatever, that the first time that they decide to either fix a school, retrofit a school, or build a new hospital, anything like that, if you can come through and be part of that discussion, because everybody can't be everywhere at the same time. Remember, this is us. So we're going to try to, at IGSHPA, try to be a clearing house for projects like that. But once again, you're going to know about it before anyone else. So if you contact us, we can put together the teams, or at least put it out there, right, Jeff? I'm saying this, and Jeff and I haven't even talked about this yet, but what the hell? It'll happen. We've got a great organization right now, better than it's ever been before. So to your point, you've got a group of people, everybody on this panel has a group, including NYSERDA, that are out in the community. If you know of a project, speak up. If you know of a school, speak up. Talk to them about geothermal, talk to them what it can do for them, and then put it into action and contact somebody on this panel or IGSHPA or someone that can give you the momentum to carry that through. Sorry, Jess.
Thank you very much. My name is Nkiru. I am a clean energy intern from the city of Albany, so I want to also speak to the clean energy internship and climate justice fellowship. Very important workforce development drivers. One thing I would say is that one of the requirements to hire clean energy intern, students in that, but also members of disadvantaged communities. I'm from one of those sides of town here in Albany that's like a government designated disadvantaged community, and it's a really important requirement and allowed me to be able to participate in this work. So I hope support for the clean energy internships, climate justice fellowships continues from the state. So with that said, I have a question about NYSERDA and the Empower Plus program. We kind of rely on the Empower Plus program to get free energy audits for low-income communities, so they can start the process towards energy efficiency and getting their buildings up to code. And I could be wrong about this, but the word on the street is that it's a long waiting list, year-long waiting list, what I've heard. Would you know if that has to do with labor shortages or gaps in the labor market, especially when it comes to energy efficiency upgrades?
I'm not sure. Is there anyone else at NYSERDA that can speak specifically to the Empower Plus program? I do know what we're hearing from contractors in the market.
Oh, here we go.
I know that we hear from contractors throughout the market, whether it's Empower Plus, market rate, energy efficiency improvements, heat pump installers, that there is still trouble getting labor and getting young folks interested in these jobs. And we're trying to focus more on career awareness. And as you mentioned, the internship program is a great way to introduce people. But we could get back to you on the Empower Plus program if you just leave us your name. Thank you.
I just wanted to mention, as the training aspect of this, down in Orange County, Sullivan County, Rockland County, Greene County, and Delaware County, that we reach out to the municipalities and actually do training for free under grants such as NYSERDA's. So through that partnership, it really strengthened the union in those areas and the belief in using the union in municipalities.
There was the gentleman in the back, and then Chase up in front, and then we might be at time.
Hi, my name is Craig Piano. I'm with the Operating Engineers Local 15 in New York. Quick question as far as the qualifications for this type of work. I was just curious to see if anybody that's kind of been ingrained doing this work right now, are there any special type of qualifications that you need to do this work? And other than the apprenticeship programs that you've mentioned and the initial training that they get, is there anybody like overseeing certain qualifications that are specific to the geothermal work? And if so, is there a requalification period? Is that being mandated by anybody, whether it's a local or utility type of situation where they're mandating that they oversee these types of qualifications, or if there is a requalification period?
I can't talk about New York specific, so I'll give John that, but the bid and documents for the jobs typically ask for an IGSHPA qualified installer. We already do that training through our program and could probably offer to help you out if in need in that for your program. As far as New York specific, I'm not sure if there's a,
Those would be rendered by the utilities, and there's, so far, I think among the 13 pilots, nothing's been approved yet by the Public Service Commission, but I think you talk about some of the qualifications, like OPQual certifications that are required by the utility, and I don't think that's been sorted through yet.
In the striped shirt.
Hi, I'm Chase McPherson from Northeast Energy Efficiency Partnerships, NEEP. And I really appreciate, Dave, what you said about, like, we have to figure out how to market jobs to young people, because I get so tired of people getting on their soapbox about young people not even realizing, like, I'm Gen Z, and they're, like, complaining about Gen Z to me, and I'm like, read the room. But, like, it's just like this has happened every generation. It's not new that, like, people think young people don't want to work. So do you have ideas about how to market? Like, drilling, people always say it's tough work, it's hard to find. You know, how do we communicate the value of these jobs?
okay, so it really comes down to basic economics for those people. I typically have, for our positions, which right now might only be 15 or 20 for this year in Chicagoland, I might have 130 applications that I have to score and then bring in further, because the way it works, we score the applications, the highest people in the area that we need people then are brought in for an evaluation, and then they go to a job, and if as long as they make it to that job, drug tests, all that stuff, they become an apprentice. And the people want to have that job, even though it might be physical, it might be dirty, it might be those things, but the things that they know they're getting, they know what the wage is and what the wage structure is going forward. They'll start at 50% of what our journey workers' wage is, which is still pretty good. They're in the 20s somewhere. And then every 6 months, as long as they meet their requirements, those milestones, whether it be their Class A CDL, their 40-hour HAZWOPER, all the stuff that we do for them at no cost except for their time to show up to class or to get that stuff. If they meet those criteria, they get that next pay raise when they get that many hours on the job. So we're laying out, here is the progression of your job. On day one, they see it. It's not, well, if you do a good work, we might do this for you sometime in the future. It's, here's what we will do for you, here's what you need to do for you. And then we hold them to that because the Department of Labor makes us hold them to it, right? If someone falls behind, I get a nastygram from the Department of Labor and says, how are you going to fix this? And I wind up calling that apprentice in, figure out what's going on. Sometimes it's as simple as, hey man, my contractor's had me out of town for the last 6 months, I can't. And so then we find a way to help them without impacting their contractor. That's a last resort, we don't want to do that. And while allowing them to still make a good living. Because that's the thing, they're doing all this training on their own time while still being paid by a contractor a decent wage at no cost to them. So then when you factor that into what the young lady was talking about with preferred populations, disadvantaged communities, veterans, those kind of things that we have to outreach to. Now, we actually go out, we have Marcus, our gentleman, he goes out to those communities and brings them in and tries to say, hey, this is a career path for you, and gives them the opportunity to fill out that application. And we talk to them because we're trying to build that same thing. And we're trying right now, along with IGSHPA, I think I mentioned it in my thing, along with all our operator locals in the Northeast, we're trying to take our system that we developed in 2009 and bring it to the Northeast because we have the infrastructure to be able to do that. So hopefully you'll hear some good things about that in the very near future.
Yeah, I just want to add, I firmly believe in the pre-apprenticeship, especially now. It's a great way to get people, we concentrate people going to communities that are distressed or priority populations for that. And like I mentioned earlier, we had 33 pre-apprentices graduate over the 3 years, and we'd love to do more, but we need the work. You know, the trades aren't going to take people in if the work's not there, and they got members on the bench. But my understanding now, and in this area especially, and going towards central New York, there's going to be a ton of work. And I believe, expanding the pre-apprenticeship is a great way to help people in these areas.
And by the way, I'm glad to hear you say that, Chase, because we are going to need more people, definitely more people. And we need younger people. So if anybody's telling you that they don't want to work, it's probably because they've offered a job to someone and they've turned it down. I know I've gotten about 5 turndowns. Right now, I'm looking at veterans, I'm looking at American Indians, I'm looking at Amish people to do the drilling aspect of this technology. But the fact is that this is not easy work. You're not going to, somebody just asked me, can I do it from home and can I use my phone? You probably can, but you're not going to have the same result as you would if you were on a drill rig. So I appreciate your comment, and put it out there. We need people. We need young people. We need people that are willing to work. And talk to any of the exhibitors out there. I'm going to tell you, they'll all tell you they need people.
We have, because the next program is lunch, and it seems that we still have questions in the room, we're going to continue to take questions for a couple of minutes. You can feel free to leave. I want to say I've been really impressed with how everyone has stayed in this room throughout. We have barely lost anyone, and I think it's because of the nature of the conversation. And so the next question, yes.
Yeah, hi, my name is Lisa Dix, and I'm with the Building Decarbonization Coalition. And so one of the things I just wanted to explore and just hear a little bit more of a deep dive here. You know, we talk a lot, I think, about, projects by projects. And Adele, you kind of talked about this in your presentation about the kind of the shift to scale, right? Aggregating a whole bunch of projects and really thinking through scale in new ways. And so I would like the panelists to just kind of really talk about, when we do a project, it's very hard to think about like how you build a career path. When you do scale, then you can really, it seems like that would be an easier way to really, hold people over time, and also including getting people into the pre-apprenticeship programs to the apprenticeship level, because there'll be a pipeline of projects. So the question that I have for the panel is, what do you all think in terms of, what do you all need in terms of your programs, and what can the state, municipalities, the federal government, and others do to help on this idea of, it doesn't seem like a career can be created from just one project by project without that certainty. So I would like you to talk about like how and what kinds of things can be done, and the signals that the state, the federal government, municipalities, et cetera, can send to create that long-term, pipeline certainty. And the last part of that is then just talk a little bit about then how that helps you create really kind of bring people up the ladder from the pre-apprenticeship to the apprenticeship. Thanks.
Rachel, I can start?
Yep.
Lisa, the first thing we could do is get shovels in the ground. If we can get shovels in the ground, that's the beginning of it. When we talk about the pilot programs, you and I have spent many, many months, maybe years, thinking about the state leading to decarbonize state facilities. As we talk about the SUNY campuses, that would create the opportunity, also the education for academia, when we start to include the students. The private colleges, some of the universities in Massachusetts are undergoing massive thermal energy projects right now, private universities. In fact, one of them is starting at Smith College in May. There's going to be 150 pipe fitters on the underground. There's more laborers on the job than pipe fitters that are doing it. There's operating engineers with trenching. There's electricians. There's insulators. Tremendous amount of work. So what we need first are the shovels in the ground. As far as pre-apprenticeship programs, I said the New York City model is ideal. Central New York, under Greg Lancette, who's the president of the Central New York Building Trades, and works very closely with the laborers to have pre-apprenticeship models and wraparound services, because It's a little different for pre-apprentice candidates to come into New York City because it's easy to get on a train or a bus. When you're in upstate New York, it's a lot more difficult. You need a clean driver's license as well. So all we need to do is expand those programs that can only be done if we get shovels in the ground and really start to roll. Then there's no turning back.
I'm going to go a little different with that. It comes up to not only do we need the projects, but we need training diversification. And that's something we're also very good at. So my program is called the Geothermal Well Driller Program. It doesn't just focus on geothermal. It's geotechnical drilling, geothermal drilling, water well drilling, construction drilling, right? Because at any one time, one of those legs of that stool could dip. And we don't have as much geothermal work now, but the geotech is still going, or the water well is still going. So you need to have a diverse workforce that understands that, on my end of it anyway, for the drilling side, when one slows down, there's somewhere else to go. But like John said, we don't bring people in, we don't already think that we can put them to work and keep them to work. And that's because we're not in the business of promising a career to someone that we can't deliver. So right now, looking at what's out there, there is careers out here right now for this. If we look in 3 years' time, the careers might be slightly different. So that diversification comes in huge in order to be able to give those careers to people. Because a few years ago in Illinois, we had a ton of vertical work, right? A ton of building in the city, and when 2008, the economic downturn happened, we had done some pre-work in order to have a lot of work in the horizontal stage, building roads and bridges and those kind of things, and we were able to shift that. So the same thing can be done in this sector as long as we keep an eye and we don't get laser focused on one technology.
Should I cut it? Yeah. All right, robust conversation. We'll have to all catch up with these outstanding professionals during the coffee and lunch breaks. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
This is a union job. We don't work for lunch. Yeah.